Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Elena Churkin and I'm lifestyle medicine advocate, helping middle-aged people with evidence-based strategies to improve their well-being and longevity. And today we're going to talk a little bit deeper about midlife mood swings, and I'm going to explain you the neuroticism, hormones and relationships, how middle age shifting from adolescence and what are difference and why we call midlife second adolescence. So hormonal transition and emotional shifts are always linked. We're all well educated about teenagers, about adolescents, about hormonal shifts and about the moodiness. When we talk about teenagers, we do expect them to be irritable, moody, very hard to talk with, avoidant, and actually they change personality and we're all anxious about it. And the same happening in the midlife is a natural decline of sex hormones in both genders. Only we're going into different directions. With different words, adolescents, they're booming. They can't cope with overwhelming hormones. And the middle age is happening opposite directions. They start to fluctuate and alter everything the same as adolescence: serotonin, dopamine, sleep, our irritability, the way how we talk, the sensitivity to different problems, and both genders and ladies and gentlemen, we're both affected. But of course, girls and ladies are more moody, if you like. Even in teenage, we know the girls, they suffer more from premenstrual syndrome, a regulation of their periods, and they have a harder transition comparison to the men. And the guys, lucky here again in the middle age, they have much smoother transaction in terms of decline of their hormones. But they're both going through the same process. That's why we need to learn, accept and be ready about it and create awareness of the second transition. Because serotonin get alterated, dopamine, cortisol levels get rise. As a result, sugar level goes out and you get more insulin sensitivity, or not sensitivity, opposite. So insulin sensitivity go down and they have a more insulin resistance, so higher risk of diabetes for both genders. And neuroticism, or our stress response, hiking and spiking, one of the highest in lifetime, even more than during teenage times. And we need to understand biology. We need to understand what's going on. And I can imagine, even if you have a teenagers, please let them know that parents are also going through opposite direction. And they need to be a little bit more patient and even learn about changes what their parents going through and what they eventually were going through as well. We should reduce the shame. They shouldn't really avoid the talk about it and accept, yes, you're a teenager, and accepting they're moody, they're going through hormonal shifts, and yes, your mother or your dad going for a similar process to the opposite direction also happening, and they shouldn't be ashamed of biology, of aging on the stage of our life we are going through, and our emotional changes, because they're reversible, they will be stable. We simply need to go through it together. Female hormonal trajectory is a little bit more intense. Estradiol and progesterone start drastically to drop around 45-55, but again, woman to woman varies, and these drops and this change varies. So many different factors involved: genetics, lifestyle, so many different factors, biomarkers and environment, so many different factors. But serotonin, you need to understand, is estrogen is serotonin enhancer, and we already know the ladies have a less serotonin produced comparison to the men, and here estrogen comes down, even less serotonin, and sensitivity getting a little bit more. So we have a more sensitive to stress. As a result, we just women can't fluctuate. And you know, this during menopause, perimenopause, the estrogen, this transition goes up and down, estradiol. Progesterone, the same, is going up and down, is very hard, it's such a huge fluctuation. She has a period, she don't have a period, they're regular, sometimes twice a week. Also, in terms of pregnancy, women can get pregnant unexpectedly, is ovulation as well. Might don't have it, and then she has few ovulation during the month. So this is a very challenging moments for the woman. Progesterone linked, so if estradiol and estrogen in general linked to serotonin enhancing beneficial parts, then progesterone is more of the calming for GABA neurotransmitters, and as well progesterone goes down and calmness also get affected. And as a result, enhance anxiety and reactivity. So all this up and down affecting, or she's too irritable, and then she's going quiet, she doesn't talk, because a hormone shift is a very, very huge, it's severe. And then we can predict how women will respond. What stress she will have in this time, this transition time, of course, more reactive she will be, because what her neuroticism, what is her history, what is her biomarkers, what's her inflammation rate and inflammation biomarkers, all that link together. So that's why we want to assess, to understand that and predict, and after that reasonable changes to minimize all the risks and this transition for both genders and the family in general, mainly if you have teenagers in your household who are also going through the hard time. So we want to stabilize the fluctuations, they don't want to ignore it, and then we want to know the cause of such distress, and as healthcare professionals and as knowledgeable people, we want to support this transition and make it more smooth as possible and more stable as possible. So what happens in the brain? Because of course there are activity and so many things going on in the brain, thermoregulations, this extra sweating, so thermoregulation gets affected. Women have these hot flashes, she can't sleep, her sugar goes up and down, so it's very sensitive. Her amygdala get activated because serotonin, or for estrogen, estradiol is a very huge protector, is a very strong antioxidant and playing role in so many different regulations. And of course, that such a precursors of so many important metabolic processes fluctuates up and down at all time unpredictably. Organisms as well don't know how to respond and are trying to settle and trying to balance these changes. As a result, and serotonin and dopamine and all metabolism get shifted and going up and down. Let's say in terms of emotional timeline of menopause, it's a general, so it's not necessarily linked to you. So here's a lot of genetic factors, environmental factors, a lot of factors involved. So this is generalized, approximately what to expect in general. Doesn't mean you will fit into these statistics, not at all. But early perimenopausal, then women maybe from mid-30s, is as early as mid-30s, late 30s, or early 40s. We don't know when you'll get there. Irritability and fatigue. So this tiredness, you get a little bit more irritable, and that might last from 2 to 4 years. It's a mild, and this is like a third scale of the changes. Mild transition actually lasts longer, from 3 to 5 years, and here already getting more active, so they have more anxiety, sensitivity, sleep loss because a hot flashes might start appearing, and anxious, brain fogs, all these hormonal changes and neurotransmitters fluctuates like crazy. And here is very important to take reasonable steps. Yeah, routine and get ready. That takes time, understanding, be patient, and actually ask for healthcare professional help if needed. And we do. HRT, one of them, they can support and make this transition safe and more stable. And a late postmenopause is emotional leveling. Then finally everything get calmed down. All these oceans of transitions and all these up and downs finally get settled, and women finally getting peace, finding peace again. She's coming back into her best way as she was only already much wiser, much calmer actually. And this is, yes, finally a woman start to sleep better. Her anxiety calming down, and she can enjoy herself again. Why we need to talk about this neuroticism? Because this transition with extra care, because this is such important time. Then majority, unfortunately, a lot of couples falling apart, a lot of marriages can't cope with the stress. We need to learn together, woman and man. We need to go learn and go through this journey together, understand each other, support each other, get much support and distance as possible in your workplace, within your friends, your family, and don't be ashamed of that. Nothing wrong. Is the same saying, there's nothing wrong with teenagers. They're just going through this transition. We need to have understanding and find a way. What is the best approach for you, and how we can cooperate together, what make you comfortable, and how we can make this process less stressful as possible. Because this midlife transition very important. How we're going to live after that another later life. This is our well-being. This is our chronic diseases. This is our quality of life. So it's very important. The same important for teenagers, the adolescents. The way how they're going through is really important for the early adulthood. So we need to take it seriously with extra support, extra understanding and flexibility. Because 70 to 75% divorces in their 40s and 50s initiated by women. And this explains why, because she can't cope anymore. She's burning out. She don't know what to do, how to do. Maybe she's trying. She doesn't know instruments, what to do, how to do it the right way, what is going on, and lack of support, lack of education. They need to come back and learn about this transition, emotional disconnection, and identity search. They get anxious. They get lost in this hysteria and emotional instability. Nobody understands them. All the shifts changing and peaking this time, and men often taking this anxiety and this transition as rejection. And it's not rejection. Yeah, men need also to learn about it, and it's harder for them to learn. We know that men is less flexible in these terms comparison to women, and they're going through their challenges. So the peaking is, as I said, 45 to 55, but might start as early late 30s and the 30s, but definitely will be by age of 50. And here they need to know what was your neuroticism before, what type of personality you got when you was in your 20s, and understanding changes here is key for stop blaming, to reduce blame and reduce your shame. But for second part, you shouldn't use your transition as an excuse for neglect, for rudeness. You still have to control yourself. The same as the teenagers. Yes, they're teenagers, they're going through a lot, but they still understand the boundaries, but you can't get over for others. Have respect. This is what both genders need to have. Understand that. You might go through a tough time, you might go through the challenges, but still you have to stay within acceptable boundaries of your behavior, and that sometimes need to be explained and controlled. It's hard, it's not easy, and if you notice that you struggle with your actions, then of course ask for help and support. So high female neuroticism predicts lower satisfaction in marriage. Women will find is really will be very hard to satisfy her, mainly within this time, and dissatisfaction coming literally everywhere. It's a sexual life, it's whatever men will try to do, is nothing will be good enough. And of course, if it was already challenging and she was picky, if you like, in her 20s, nothing was good enough, nothing was there, she was like a princess. But probably when the woman is young, and it's men even try it more attractive because he has as well more serotonin. He is quite more stable, more testosterone, and he's more stable to all these critics things. But he got older as well. By age of 50, his, excuse me, sensitivity to that going down, his testosterone also going down. And as a result, he's a little bit given up. Women getting even more picky than she was before, but his resilience also coming down, and there's a clash that both genders can't cooperate, can't understand each other, and actually the drama's avoidance and ours misunderstanding actually booming. As decline of estrogen as well, women bonding in this, the capacity slightly going down, because as I said, her hormones go up and down. So sometimes she's craving this intimacy and closeness, and then now she get very cold and distant. So it's very hard to predict what she'll want tomorrow, what will be in the morning during the day. She might change very quickly and several times. And of course, the men empathy, because of low testosterone, add this distance, misunderstanding, and his avoidance. He got more avoidant, and his resilience to that, because of serotonin also get affected in these terms. And he got more distance. So I can't cope this anymore, it's too much for me. And as a result, men even getting more further from the woman. But in some days, she needs cravings for more closeness, and then men actually getting further and further because it's too intense. So they go in opposite directions, the women up and down. Sometimes she's okay, sometimes she's not, and here is very hard to find this balance, and actually couples can do. Here is a couple therapy, super beneficial, to try find this behavior that's suits both people, and every single couple will be different because they are both peaking in their highest neurotic level. And if you started earlier, then you start maybe in their 30s, and that if you get married in your 30s, after 5 years already, and they know that actually sex drive and sexual problems that already after 5 years of marriage, and actually they enter in this in the age of mid-30s, when women start already doesn't want this too much sex, getting a bit further. And quite often this happening when women actually get in their late 30s, 40s, or her sex drive going down in disagreement, and there's sort of problems getting more and more and more, and lack of communication. Couple don't talk to each other about the issues, about the problems, and the only what they live in there is because of the mortgage and children, because of the environment. Here, as early as you notice any coldness or any issues, it's a very good idea to find some neutral to talk about it and trying to communicate that way. So physical and cognitive symptoms in terms of ladies is hot flashes, sleep fragmentations. Women are quite used to sleep fragmentations during the pregnancy, last month of pregnancy, and early days or months after she gave birth to the newborn baby. And of course, these sleep fragmentations are getting worse and they're coming back for different reasons in menopause. Memory lapses, focus decline, and brain fogs, etc. So it's a quite big list. Body image disturbance, aesthetic medicine here really might help. Plastic surgeries and aesthetic medicine is quite pricey, I know, but it's really worth. It does work. It does work because women, she does feel that she's not attractive anymore, and if she was boosting and looking after herself, buying maybe some new clothing or going to the spa, is as never. It's important as never, and quite often men find it too expensive, or that there is no budget for that. So budgeting and financial literacy is very important. The same for as a man. Men might notice that he wants more have his hobbies as well. So both genders have their own needs. Maybe he wants to go to fishing or old hobbies, and the guys and their support as well in this age, because they need to have this community, their own gender, the peers, that actually good peers, very important, because the peers in this age literally will be your guidance where you're going through more stable or more distable. The more stable your peers will be, kinder and less neurotic, you'll reflect it. Yeah, so that is very important. So make sure the group and the people and the friends around you beneficial for your couple, and try and discuss it. So listen, I think that person is drinking at all time, has this, the XYZ lifestyle is not really beneficial for us, and only creating more tension. So how about you still can see them, or you still allow in our environment, but they're trying to reduce a little bit. So be a little bit more selfish to save your own, preserve your own well-being, because that might be not the right direction. And now this time as another is important, because that might be quite a good prediction of your future as well. So P groups, your age groups, and your environment here playing a crucial role. Don't allow them to fall or affect in your family, and or advise you something incorrect, I would say, not in your based on your values or based on your family values. So weight changes is now a disturbance for both genders, because, as I said, cortisol going high a little bit because of neuroticism as well, getting increased. As a result, cortisol goes high. Remember, high cortisol, more release of sugar and glucose in the bloodstream. As a result, insulin raising up as well as a result of that, and have insulin resistance and risk of diabetes. So make sure, if you're middle age, from age of 40, from mid 30s, both genders, check your insulin, because resistance might develop this age. The same happening with teenagers. A lot of teenagers, they have insulin resistance, and then they manage it and we improve it. And a lot of people have during these hormonal changes get insulin resistance, and they don't manage to control it, and then they have diabetes. So it's a very important time. Even if you're slim, even if you exercise, you still have a risk, because there's you need to look after your diet and what you do, and check your biomarkers. Just know this is what happened, and that's normal. And if you leave it for too late, this might be a little bit longer and a harder journey to reverse your diabetes, and it'll be just a longer way. As a result, of course, if you don't look after your diet and you don't exercise, you get these extra kilos, and women getting more uncomfortable. So they know the insulin belly is actually visceral fat. So they notice this, the loss of figure, attractiveness, and the men as well. They have starting developing bellies, and they know this is quite dramatically increasing from age of 35 approximately, and men going to the pubs and exercise because they have a big families, a lot of responsibilities, and it's absolutely understandable. Testosterone goes down, his protections as well, and they're getting more neurotic. Yeah, and if you don't exercise and you don't use some medicine, changing or keeping it or getting this importance, then you might go opposite direction. Estrogen is what protecting the brain. As we know, for women, estrogen, estradiol supports neurogenesis and mood. And HRT is still, I was thinking where I will be more for HRT or against, and there's more and more still evidence in saying yes, HRT is beneficial for women unless you don't have any contraindications or severe side effects. I still recommend women to try and to protect, because you might improve or prolongate your good for your well-being a little bit, quality of your life for around 10 years, and it's quite a lot. I would say in terms of lifestyle medicine, 10-15 years is lifestyle changes that are significant. It just, your quality of life might be better unless you don't have contraindications and severe side effects from that, and that can happen. But we know that there's more benefits rather negativity, but of course contraindications and side effects that we all know, and prescriber and healthcare professionals will go through doing consultation. It might be worth to learn about it and try it. As well, there is less risk of depression, anxiety, some bad thoughts, if you like, and it boosts as well optimism. And optimally is 10 years, yeah. Even post-menopause, women can stay to give her a little bit flexibility and this enjoyment of feeling a little bit better. But personalized, every woman under a different shadow is not standard. That's why every single woman need to have individual approach, discuss with the practitioner, with different doctors, go for different assessments, different scans, in some occasions even DNA position to know where they're standing and what potential risks. If they don't have the risks, you'll find that therapy that might be quite beneficial. I want again to mention the dance because I think that modern society forget about the dance. Culturally, every single culture got a dance, and at schools, when I was a teenager, they got all these at school special organized events, mainly for teenagers and adolescents. And dance here is extra connection. There is connection between women and the man, then they enter in, and the same connections need during the second adolescence, then we have midlife. But we don't have it anymore. They don't dance. Did we notice that the dance now is some sort of, people don't do this anymore? Yes, in some weddings or they need a lot of big area, but every single culture, without exception, they have a dance. I like all this African dance, music to give a dance and connection with your body is crucial. And of course, connection to your partner, because dance increasing serotonin is increasing oxytocin. You can imagine that both genders struggling with serotonin and getting depressed, or they have this anxiety level. Body connection to your body and connection with your partner essential. Let's talk about it more. Let's try to revive dance, switch on music, and invite our partners for the dance and for these incredible connections during the midlife, and inspire teenagers as well, and get these groups, different age groups, get connected, rather than fight. Nightclubs, in terms of alcohol as well, because we drink less, for God's sake. I'm so happy about it. There's great news. That's why nightclubs going into decline. But I think there's great opportunity to create these extra clubs for dancing, together for gyms or new centers. Then people can learn new movement and connect, improve this serotonin and oxytocin boost, and actually benefit antidepressant action, rather to give these serotonin reuptake medications and actually helping them 10%. Mindfulness, movement, dance, and a lifestyle approach definitely can reserve and probably get life much more. And then of course you can do it at home, and dance with yourself, either alone, or if you're any music you prefer. Your body image gets improved, you're getting better self-trust and connection with yourself, and you reduce cortisol, stress, and improve your sleep patterns, and enhance your social belongings, maybe to your culture, to your country, to your passions. And of course, it's always better for your metabolic health, for your microbiomes, because dance, as not the same as weightlifting, is always very good for your peristaltics, very good for your microbiomes. And they're number one, production of serotonin boosting, and microbiomes here playing crucial role, inflammation. And dance is all about mid-body movement, because it's legs, isn't it, and the mid-body. But they still don't forget about aerobic exercise, and is around at least 150 minutes per week. Mindfulness, yoga, meditation, breathing, and of course, limiting alcohol is amazing tendencies. Say no to that, but it's not any grams beneficial for organism, and extra absolutely no beneficial for midlife. Here is very important to understand. Less you take alcohol, better outcome you will have. Strength training, beneficial for the woman and men, and of course social connection. Psychological growth phase. Midlife redefine identity beyond caregiving, and it's very important for validation. And neuroticism decline after this integration, emotional integration, then integrated to this middle age, and then you accept new you with transformation. The transformation always painful, it's always challenging, it's always hard. That's why the second puberty is your last ethnicity. You might change your values, you might look in the world differently. Everything that would serve you before might not serve you anymore. So there's a lot of philosophical views. Please read, search yourself, review your true beliefs, your values. Do you still comply in your lifestyle, your friends? So it's like decluttering is a very important moment. Okay, now let's talk a little bit more about the men. They're shorter because men, testosterone going to decline much slower. Yeah, it's going down, but much slower. They don't fluctuate up and down in comparison to women, but they're also going down, and as a result, the mood also affected, and they're getting more volatile and more irritable. If before he can cope, then that's enough, enough, and quite often they concentration as well go into reduction and emotional withdrawal quite often. So men going into avoidance. If before they trying to avoid the conflict, in this age they're getting even more avoidant of communication and conversation, and they're trying to avoid a lot of things, taking action. So you get much more inactive, if you like. And increasing their neuroticism is around 5 to 10% comparison to women. Women neuroticism increasing around maybe from 15 to 25%. So in women, they have a more effect comparison to men, and they're peaking as well around from age of 45 to 60. So there's this transition time for the man when it all comes, where exactly he'll find himself finally, knew him again, his values, relationship, children, their career, so many different factors that you need to look at. And cortisol as well affecting irregular, so as well for both genders. And here estradiol as well playing a role. They have a more fatigue, they have less energy and restless. They might be emotionally more blunt, and they higher risk of a burnout. And as well, they're very not the same as women, but they're also in some changes. They might have a short-tempered comparison to when they was much more resistant before. They might avoid intimacy because they might start have noticed some sort of erection issues. Men's health here is essential. Emotional connection with the partner. Talk about different things. Maybe novelty seeking. They may have some craving. As a result, he might decide to start some affair or something. Try something new. And so here is very important to talk about it and think about it. If you really want to change, it's a great opportunity to change, but you need to understand this time will be very challenging. And divorces this time, usually they're quite painful and they're quite intense, if you like, emotionally intense. Fear of aging, as well as both genders, but male also, in age of 45, 50, they quite often looking at a much younger partner than maybe 20 years younger, and they're trying to impress the wiseness and validation from younger generation. But midlife crisis, if you like, is existential factors and hormonal changes, and quite often men as well, is very hard to navigate on the right place, and they might regret of both sides, staying in the marriage or exiting the marriage. Resistance training here helps. So physical activity, regular physical activity, mindfulness as well, omega-3 zinc essential for male health. Together with magnesium, there is some formulation omega-3 for the brain function and anti-inflammatory, and of course nobody cancel microbiomes check, nutrition, sleep patterns, and connection with your partner, your life partner, and peer connections here. So the friends and your hobbies important. Yeah, so it's like reviving this your teenage years, if you like, and everything you were so passionate. Maybe it's a good idea, get this time, talk with your partner, your woman, that the needs, and she needs to understand that they need a budget, budget here is important. Financial literacy here is super important. How are we going to spend the money? Because both genders need this financial support for their needs as another. Yeah, and here is very important. No, I'll take them for me, for my hobbies, and nothing for you. But women share has also a lot of spendings. It's quite expensive for women in care. They are good consumers, very good consumers. They're very, very good, I would say, economy boosters to consume, to buy, to spend money for. They are their base source, so they always want more, and we need more. But here, that need to be discussed. And that should be planned, and it should be budgeting for both genders. Don't say, oh, I give you everything, I don't have anything for myself. So budget it, discuss it, and in this case, you balance it in somehow way and prioritize things on the way how it goes, because you might have teenagers, and so that was making complicated even more complicated. Then please go for couple therapy, because you need to help to identify, because you might struggle to do it alone. So dialogue and communications and resolving issues the right way. So let's talk about in hormones. So what happened? Estrogen dropped much faster, so women will be more intense comparison to men. Testosterone goes down, but slowly. Women also testosterone goes down the hill, so physical activity here might help to keep the balance. Neuroticism in women, much sharp spikes in her neurotic behavior, then gets stabilized later, then she's going through these hormonal changes. And the man, mild but prolonged irritability, so he will be just irritated for a longer period at the time, but he will be like more stable comparison to women. Women will be really like a sharp, really like a shake up. Expressions in terms of emotions, women will be might have a much higher anxiety. She might crying. She might have this more emotional female loudness and sensitivity to different things. But men might have a more irritation and detachment. So avoidance here is very important, and men might be a little bit more avoid because he can't cope that. It's already hard to cope when he was younger, but it was so much more drive, and he will get so much more resources, and this resource goes down, and detachment, and actually they just avoid it, go away, and just bury yourself, run away is probably for his is no solution. Yeah, the solution here is to have a couple of therapy, learn about different things, talk about it, and find that solution. Yeah, financial security for both, and financial planning, how we're going to resolve it, because that will be expensive, including couple therapy. Nothing is for free. They have so many free options, but sometimes knowing that finance is divided is very important. And I think because even you decide to separate it, when finance is sorted, is much easier and less stressful. Yeah, keep in mind, probably need to create this culture, financial literacy for every single gender needs, and plan what might happen and what we're going to do. So divorce risk is much higher initiation from age of 45 to 55. The woman is responsible for around 75% for initiation. Man is low initiation, much lower comparison, but they quite often regret about it. They haven't done it, and after that already too late, and they regret about it because time goes and it's getting much harder. So both genders need to think. Women, if she's speeding up, she might regret as well, because she's under this emotional anxiety and under so many tension. So she needs support. She might regret if she initiates that. It was her mistakes probably, but the man as well here, sometimes he's less initiated but might regret about it. So make sure you talk about it, and if you decide to keep the marriage, work hard. If you decide to separate as well, do it, because it's not regrets is the worst you can do. The best support of both genders, women need more empathy, understanding, and safety. So again, here is modern life is financial, or a separation of financial arrangement, and the men need respect to his and the structure. So that should be organized. So that's why financial literacy and financial arrangements, where money come from, and talk about it as never before. Because when we're young or teenagers, first of all, they have much less. Rarely we are rich or powerful and successful. By that time, we're not talking about it, and they're very romantic. I love you, and they have nothing. That's true because much younger, and they get older in midlife. They already just having possession, and we never talk about it. There's no culture about it. So this is a time to create this communication and arrange financial arrangement on place. And even if you wouldn't able to keep disagreement, you know that everything is arranged. So do it as a safety for both genders, as a structure, and both men and women will be more secure and safer. You become, you reduce your neurotism about a lot of questions. So talk about it and ask for professional help or advice. So integrated lifestyle medicine approach for midlife, of course, is a lifestyle, is a movement, is nutrition, is a sleep, and all these 6 our stress management, mindfulness, relationships, addictions, and the sleep. So that so all that together. Psychotherapy, couple therapy, acceptance, commitment therapy, CBT, mindfulness. So many different, I don't know how to say, is a dance, is a connection, is a medical, is regular checkups, talk about it. Male, please don't forget to have a prostate health, women as well, a lot of different checkups from middle age, from age of 35. This is the time we get older. And of course, social purpose, belongings, your values, your friends, they need regular assessment, and of course, education. They need to understand if you are going through career change, it's normal, and be prepared to come and back and learn. It's hard, but believe me, for teenagers as well, it's very hard. They fall in love, emotions much more intense. There's the first love, there's the first sex, there's the first emotion, very intense, very powerful emotions. And then you get older, we already remember that they have different challenges, isn't it? So as well, quite powerful, quite terrifying, quite depressing, and they get quite anxious. So we need education to get in this. When you know the things, what's going to happen, it seems like we know, yeah, this is my type, and I think I'm following this type. This is what's happening to me, and I'm glad I understand that. And then it's less anxiety, less depression, because you know what's going on. And prevention here early, and awareness here is the best prevention, yeah? So, and you have a less breakdown. So that was the tip for today, and all the best.